Thank you so much for clicking on this video. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about waiting on God. It's so hard to do this, but let's look over some points and see if we can figure out a solution to this sort of little hole that we are in right now. Before I get started, thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Jazz. I currently have 200 plus subscribers, so thank you so much for subscribing to my video. I felt in my spirit to make another video today. I took some notes, so let's just get started. So my first question for you all is, have you ever been in like a waiting game? I remember the first time I experienced the actual frustration of waiting was when I had to go to the doctor in my university, and I was there sitting at the doctor's office and I waited. I got there at 10 a.m. technically 9:30 because I was supposed to be there at 10 a.m. and my doctor didn't show up till at 3 p.m. So that whole entire time I was sitting there with my phone, with my mom, just waiting and waiting. And it was one of the worst. Like, it is the worst to wait. Like, it really is. If you really think about it, it sucks. Sometimes it's okay, but sometimes it sucks. So I'm gonna talk about the waiting game when it comes to waiting on God, because it also, to be honest, is not the best. Like, it's not the best feeling in the world to be constantly waiting for God to give you something and he just keeps making you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. So we're gonna go over our notes and let's get started. So the first point to realize is this: God has a perfect plan for your life. And I know that you have heard that a million times, but when you really understand it though, you would understand what I mean when I say that he has a perfect plan for your life. So meaning that your concept of waiting is not so much seen in a negative way once you understand that God actually knows what he's doing. So a lot of people, and they've always made this example where it's like, let's say a 6-year-old boy wants to ride a motorcycle, right? Like a real motorcycle, not a toy one. And he's like, Daddy, I want this motorcycle, I want it. It's like the coolest thing. Like, look at it, it's shiny, it's pretty. Look at the noises that it makes, it's super cool. Whatever, right? You can explain to your father how much you love this thing. But then your father looks at it and then he's like, yeah, it's cool, it's nice, it's pretty cool. But no, you're not gonna have it. And you're like, wait, what do you mean? Why? Like, I want it. And then your dad is like, well, because you're 6 years old, if you rode it right now, you could end up getting killed, or you can get hurt or injured in general. So no, you can't even drive. So no, you are not going to have this motorcycle. So have you asked God for something that you're like, I want it. And then God is like, yeah, that looks like a cool thing to have. But no. And then he tells you, because of this, because of that. Like, it could easily be like, I want a house. And then God is like, well, if you get it now, you're gonna end up bankrupt and in the company that you work for in 3 years, and it's gonna ruin your credit, and then you're gonna lose a lot of money. So no, I'm not gonna give you that house right now. It's the same thing. So when we say that God has a perfect plan for our life, he knows when we're supposed to have certain things, because if we have them at the time that we want it, aka in our quote-unquote perfect plan, which is not exactly perfect at all, we don't know the consequences or bad things that can come to us if we get the things that we want at the time frame that we want it. So that is one thing to understand when it comes to waiting on God, is that we have to be careful, because we don't really know what we're asking for, because we don't really know what we might actually get ourselves into. So when we keep reading, you'll never really have what God wants for you to have if you keep rejecting his will. So in order to really receive what God has for you in his timing, and you never know, his timing could be tomorrow for all we know. We don't know. But how can we receive that blessing tomorrow if we keep rejecting his will today? So my point is that if you want to really live the life that you want, that God has for you, you have to stop complaining, and you have to stop being like a baby, constantly being like giving God like a list when you know that probably not even half of those things in that list is for you in the first place. I remember I was like, sometimes we don't really know what we want if we're completely honest. I remember I was thinking, I want a baby, I want a baby, I want a baby, like I want a baby right now, I want to get pregnant right now, I want to already have a child. I'm 24 years old, by the way. And then I babysitted my friend's baby. Shout out to her, she's so adorable, and her family is the cutest thing ever. And I prayed and I was like, God, I'm ready to be a mom, because remember, we don't know what we want. I was like, God, I'm ready to be a mom. And then I get a job at my church to babysit my friend's baby for a little while. And I babysitted this baby, and I was like, oh, I'm not ready to be a mom, because I was so clueless on how to take care of a baby, number one. Yet, did it give me experience? Yes. But number one, I realized how clueless I was to be a mother. Number two, I didn't realize how hard it was to be a mother. And am I emotionally and mentally ready for that sort of responsibility? Probably not, which is why I'm not a mom yet. Maybe next year, maybe in 2 years, but not right now. God knows what he's doing. So I was like, oh, okay, God, I asked you that if I could be a mom. 2 days later, and be in mind, there is no one in my family that has a baby. All of my cousins are in their 20s, but they're not in that age yet to have a family like me. So I was like thinking, I'm ready to be a mom. I'm ready to be a mom, with zero experience of ever being with a baby, like experiencing what it's like to change a diaper, etc. And then when I saw how hard it was, I was like, oh, okay, so yeah, God really does have the timing. There's a reason why I'm not a mom yet. So that's another thing that we have to understand, that we have to really accept God's will, because we think we know what we want, but in reality, we don't. So that is another thing that I wanted to mention. Have you ever asked God what is his plans for today? Okay, because a lot of times when we want to live in God's will, we're like, yeah, God, like your will be done. But then we continue to live our daily life the way we want to live it. We continue to live our daily life, not really asking God for guidance. I've met people that are literally like, okay, God, what sort of makeup look should I do today? What sort of outfit should I wear today? Like, if you really want God to be in your life, it's really cool to try to actually interact with God and see what his will is on almost everything that we do. And sometimes a lot of people that aren't Christian that are hearing this are going to be like, okay, that's crazy. But we believe in a God that is involved in our life in every aspect, not just the bad parts, but also the good parts or the simple parts. Sometimes, like I've heard people be like, oh my God, like I wore this outfit today and I was like, no, I'm not feeling it. And then so she changed her outfit because she felt like she needed to. And then because of her wearing a specific outfit, she got accepted for, like, someone was like, hey, can you model for me for this company that I'm doing, whatever. My point is that you don't know what could happen if you involve God in the small things in your life. So when we only seek God when we're having problems, would you really actually consider that to be a relationship? Because it's like, let's say you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you only seek them, you only talk to them, you only want to talk to them because you're having a problem, and you kind of deep down know that maybe they can help you fix that problem. So that's the only time or reason as to why you speak to them in the first place. They're gonna feel like they're being used. If we're completely honest, they're gonna feel like, hey man, you only talk to me when you have a problem. You're not talking to me when you want to talk to me, when you want to build a relationship with me. You don't talk to me like, like in simple things. Like, you only talk to me about your problems. What kind of a relationship is that? It's the same thing with God. So that's another thing that we have to understand when it comes to waiting on God, is that we have to try to involve him in the little things, because honestly, God can sometimes be jealous. He can get offended. He can be like, okay, like this person, I love them, but they only talk to me when they're having problems. And is that going to affect your relationship with God? Yeah. And is that going to affect God's plans that He has for you in your life? Yes. So we have to be very careful with that. Hey guys, so not only did my camera and my memory cut off, but I also realized how long the video was getting. So if you want a part 2, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye!